Hey, it's Steve Riley. Welcome to this episode of Great Practice, Great Life. And today we're just going to do that. We're going to wrestle with having a great life that supports a great practice. And we're going to do some jujitsu in that way. So today I've invited a good friend, a colleague, a really respected member of Dominate Your Market, and a very respected member of the California Bar, my dear friend, Kevin Snyder. So Kevin, welcome to the episode.
Thank you, Steve. What a kind and warm introduction. That makes me very happy, which I know is what we're going to be talking about today.
So today I've asked you to come on to talk about something that you have called the Happiness Advantage Scorecard. Now, I just want to spend a few minutes to talk to you about the definition of happiness, because this is one of the things that in the past couple of decades of coaching, advising, being an attorney myself, that I've seen us wrestle with as professionals, as attorneys. And the thing that brings a lot of lawyers to Atticus is I want to make more money. I want to have less stress. I want to have a better practice. So the question is really to you, why is this important to you as an attorney, as a leader in our community, as a leader in your community, as a member of, a large board at a major hospital, as a owner of a law firm? Why did you create a scorecard?
Well, first, let me just confess that I was one of those people that came for the money, but staying for the happiness of the great life. So I think that's important. And you talk a lot about that in Atticus about, people come in for the money, but then they stay for the great life. And it's so true because that's my journey in Atticus. And there is a direct correlation between how well my practice, and I say my practice, I have an awesome partner in crime, my wife, Carolyn. So our practice, there's direct correlation with our happiness in our journey, our mutual happiness, individual happiness, happiness together, and how well we do in our practice. And so I don't have the data points or graph to show you, but I can just tell you anecdotally that looking at times in which we struggled financially in the practice, or there was some sort of struggle or tension within the practice, it was because it was at times that we look at in our life that we were struggling as well. And the converse is true. So it's super, super important. And that is the direct tie into this journey of why I created this happiness scorecard. Is last year was one of those the major dips in our practice because there was a major dip in my personal life. I was at probably the lowest point, well, not probably the lowest point that I've ever been in my life from a mental perspective, from a health perspective overall, because mental health is your health, but physically wasn't healthy either. And I was extremely depressed. So, I was at a point that was just I had never experienced before, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't get over things. People that knew me didn't know what was going on, and it was challenging, and it was affecting our practice, the way in which we were working with clients, we were working as a team. I became very isolated, or I isolated myself, and I didn't want to go networking. I didn't even want to come to work. I didn't want to visit with clients, and my team tells me I did a good job masking a lot of that in the office with clients. Like they would have no idea. But that was so draining. I'm not happy with my life. I am not happy in life. Nothing makes me happy. And the scariest part, Steve, was when I couldn't laugh at stand-up comedy anymore, or something funny that my kids were doing. I couldn't join in the laughter of family time. And I'm watching stand-up comedy. I'm trying to now. This is like a drug. Okay, this is going to stimulate me. Listening to all my favorite comedians, and nothing is triggering anything. And I got scared. Like, oh my gosh, it's like people lost a sense of smell when they got COVID. I lost laughter. I lost happiness in this. And so I was freaked out and trying to figure out what to do. And that's really the launch pad of all of this. Moving from there, working with my therapist, working with my psychiatrist, working with you, frankly, and other people in DYM, just trying to move forward. And then what can we focus on? And that is really what the driver was. And looking at the happiness scorecard, and what Atticus teaches, if you can't improve and progress, if you can't measure. So thinking about that, usually we're thinking about KPIs, key performance indicators in our practice, like the how many people we're meeting with, what our conversion rate is, what our profit margins, all that jazz, which is super important. But there is an indicator for happiness. How do you define happiness? I still remember when I mentioned this idea to you initially. You said to me, and you said, "Well, you're going to have to figure out a way in which you can measure and score happiness." And as soon as you said it, I was like, "Oh crap! How the heck am I going to do that? Like, how do you define happiness?" And so that is the pickup point of where this all came up from, is trying to define happiness for me. Here are the other things I want to do. So 90 days from now, I'm doing all these things that don't make me happy. I'm just happy, and my life is like, this is what it looks like. So I started with that. This is what my life looks like if I'm happy, and then how do I measure that? And then okay, we break down. Well, what am I doing? Okay, we're going to create a metric for that. Am I doing those things? And then, for example, I have a miracle morning exercise in the past that I would do, and when I was successful. Was it a direct correlation? I couldn't tell you, but I know that I was doing this miracle morning exercise and I was also successful and happy. So there's obviously some connection. I don't know how to describe it, but there is. And so I need to continue to go back to doing that. So what was it about the miracle morning exercise that worked for me or didn't work for me? So let's make it even better, but I got to do that. So, okay, am I doing miracle morning? What does miracle morning look like? Let's break that down. So then I can categorize it. If I'm scoring 1 to 5, then I have to describe what a 1 looks like in miracle morning. It's a crappy miracle morning. I didn't do my miracle morning. That's a 1. And drawing on my therapist, he said, you don't want to start with a 0 ever. He's like, I forget the phrase he used. He just said, this is a great idea. Of course, I bounced this off of him as we was doing it. He said, I like starting with a 1 because you're always achieving something, at the very least. Even if you're not doing it, you're still getting a 1. So you're still moving the needle. You're not saying, I'm getting 0, I'm getting an S.
Well,
It's not about, it's like not a pass fail. It's just, hey, you made some progress. The progress is you're thinking about the fact that you didn't do it. So that's progress. So you should get a 1. You shouldn't get a 0. You get a 1, but a 5 is I did my miracle morning and all of the elements of the miracle morning. I check, check, check. I did it. And I didn't do it with like this. I did it naturally. That's a 5. And then everything in between. Next is family time is the best time. So, purpose in life for me, the number one vocation outside of being a husband was being a father. I have a great father and had a great father growing up, and I just wanted to be like him. And that was what I wanted to do. So, trying to grow a practice and owning your own business, you end up working long hours, and then you easily get away from family. You easily start putting time. You're just saying prioritize. This is more important because I will make money to then do the things that I want to do for my family later. Well, what about right now? So you're going to wake up one day, the kids are going to be out the door, and then you're like, I finally got the money to do things, and then they're not going to want to spend time with you, or they don't have time to. You don't have to develop those relationships during formative time. And of course, then you're just unhappy because you're at work and it's 8 o'clock at night and you're like, shoot, I want to be home, but I got to do this. Well, you don't have to do it. You're choosing to do it. So how do I measure being at home with my family, which is what I really want to do?
and it's a heavy lift for some people. Some people don't have the courage nor the strength, and sometimes not the support community to do it. So really well done. This is great. I really appreciate this. Anything you want to add before I ask you a couple of follow-up questions?
Just that this concept that guides me to is discipline is freedom. And I heard that from my nephew. My 25-year-old nephew wrote, when my son turned 13, he wrote a message to my son, his cousin. Like, these are some things that have really helped me along the way. And one of them was discipline is freedom, which I don't know where he learned that. I can imagine from his parents, knowing who his parents are. But I have that on a card, and I wrote discipline, the equal sign freedom. And I have that on an index card that literally sits the base of my Mac computer at home. To look at that every day as a reminder of that these things matter, because even if I don't feel like doing it, or I don't feel like I have the time, or I have this more pressing deadline to do. It doesn't matter. I got to do this first, because if I'm not disciplined, then I'm not going to be successful. That other stuff's going to get done, but it's not likely going to be done well or efficiently if I don't do these things. And these things make me a better person, happier, and in a better mindset. And if I'm trained to do it, then I don't have to think about it. That's the freedom aspect of it. And I'm also free from stress. I'm also free from worry. I'm free from these negative affirmations, or naffirmations, if you will, that you're talking about.